Keith, I think we're ready to go live. How are you? I can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
I got you. Just letting you know I'm doing well. Ready to go. Let's do this.
All right, let's do this. Well, look, welcome everybody as we're here to just have a conversation about, two great job opportunities that we have coming forth here at UnCommon Law. My name is Peggy Moore, and I'm a wonderful fan of UnCommon Law, and really just have the opportunity to engage this conversation with Keith, who's been the visionary for this organization for so long. And so we got about 45 minutes. We're going to talk about two great jobs that are coming forward. We want to make sure we leave plenty of space for you to ask any questions. Please go into the chat. If you have anything, just to be queued up. We want to make sure we don't miss any questions that you might have along the way. And we're just going to dive in. We want to create this space where, giving people opportunity who might not see themselves in this role to really answer any questions that you might have. Because it's definitely a great opportunity to come and play full out. So Keith, tell me a little bit more, and let's just pass it off to you, a little bit more about UnCommon Law.
All right. Well, I will share a little about the organization. We've been around now since 2006. But most of that time, we were never bigger than a team of 4 or 5, really. But over the past year and a half or so, we've about tripled the size of our team. We've added several management positions and recruited a pretty diverse group of people to work on some of our newest initiatives that we'll talk a little bit about tonight. In the beginning, our work was solely about preparing people and representing them in their hearings in front of the parole board. We quickly learned that many of our clients needed additional support, clinical support in particular, to address their trauma histories. So we added some therapists and some students to our legal teams, and we had great outcomes. But we also found that even as we added attorneys and others, we were still having really a limited effect on all the thousands of people who were going to the parole board each year, and those who were not represented by us were having a very different experience with the attorneys who represented them, and frankly, they got bad results, not quite as good an outcome. And so we developed a pilot program called Home After Harm, UnCommon Law Pathways to Parole Success, and the goal of that is to support formerly incarcerated folks on our team who will train currently incarcerated people to do the same kind of work within the prisons. And we think this is what's going to make our model scalable. At the same time, we saw the need to impact things at a higher level, a policy level, to give more people an opportunity to come home. And so these developments are just over the last couple of years. All these changes, this expanding our legal services, developing the pilot program, and this new policy arm really required new staff and a new way to organize ourselves and our work. And so this webinar tonight is to share a little bit about how 2 of these positions fit into the organization. So I'm glad to have folks interested and looking to learn more about the organization, about these roles.
Excellent. And I think you want to bring David to the table.
Yeah, David, come on in. David's going to talk about working here at UnCommon.
Yeah.
Hey, David. Hi, everyone tuning in. My name is David Carranza. I've been with UnCommon Law for about a year now. A little over a year. I'm the operations associate here at UnCommon Law. To understand the workspace of UnCommon Law, my history kind of would shed light on that. I myself had a life sentence in prison, received it when I was a teenager, and I've been home now for about a little bit over a year and a half. As I paroled and transitioned back into society, like all other folks, I fought to try to get into a good job, good employment. However, it was hard for employers to recognize my value. And I myself at the time did not recognize my value. So many employers didn't open those doors of opportunity for me. I was very intimidated to apply to UnCommon Law. I was like, nah, there's no way they're gonna hire me. But after some encouragement, after some nudges, I applied to UnCommon Law, and I got the position. And then once I got the position, I was very intimidated about coming to work at UnCommon Law. One thing that was in my mind was like an imposter syndrome. If I was going to have to act a certain way in order to fit in. But the culture at UnCommon Law was one that was very embracing, one that recognizes your value, one that creates a place where you could grow, where you could ask questions. UnCommon Law also, it's fighting to, as well as create an uncommon place in the workplace. We have those difficult conversations as well. So UnCommon Law, it's a very unique and very great organization to work at, and I've been very blessed to be here. So if there's any hesitation or any intimidation in applying to any of these roles, I would strongly encourage you all to apply.
Right on. Thank you. Like, look, Dave, he's like, he was intimidated. He wasn't quite sure if it was the right space for him or if UnCommon Law would see his true value, right? But he still stepped up, still applied for the job, and has been doing an outstanding job. And it's been wonderful. How do you feel? How do you feel in your role in this opportunity?
Sometimes it feels so real. Sometimes I'm like, I think about how far I've come. I remember when I first started asking Annie how to send a calendar invite to another of our colleagues. And I was very scared to ask because I was like, I think this is something I should know. Just reflecting on where I'm at now and how I developed personally and professionally, it just at times just seems very surreal to me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and appreciate all the work that you're doing. And I think we want to move on and ask. We have so many folks that might have a few questions, be able to answer some questions for us as we go along here today. And just keep in mind, there's any question that you might have. We're going to be doing a Q&A a little bit later at the end of this conversation. I'm excited to bring Emma and Charlie, Maddie to the stage right now. It's good to see all of you. So we just want to do an overview. We have two major positions in which we are, doing outreach to employ folks. And so one is the legal assistance role and the responsibilities of that. So Maddie, do you want to tell me a little bit about that role and how you feel about it and what you're looking for in a partner?
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, one of the roles that we're looking to hire for is a legal assistant position, and that's specifically with the Home After Harm program that Keith mentioned earlier. And in many ways, you're going to see in the job description that we are looking for a lot of things that are kind of more typical of a legal assistant role, like analyzing legal documents or providing feedback. But since we're UnCommon Law, we're also looking for things that are more atypical of a legal assistant. Because at UnCommon Law, we are doing things within a trauma-informed framework and approach. And so what that typically looks like in our work is we're taking into account a person's past experiences and really making sure that as we work with them, we're not, to the best of our ability, causing more trauma or adding on to past traumas. And it also means that as we help folks prepare for the board, a lot of times we're supporting them as they process past traumas and really help folks take control of their own narrative and the information that they'll be sharing with the board. So for this role, we would love to find someone who has sort of what I think of as like the hard skills with the analysis and the administrative skills, but it's also really important to have more of the soft skills and really be able to bring a lot of heart to this job.
Yeah, and because the heart is really what transforms so much, and so just bringing your heart to the table is important, and the hard skills, right? Because you want to be able to do the work so we can actually have more success in the organization. I have a question for Emma, and thank you, Manny, for that. So what type of life job experience would make someone a strong fit for this job?
Sure. So in terms of professional background, I want to be really, really clear that this position does not require a college degree or any experience at a law office or a law firm.
I mean, wait a minute, hold on, Emma. Can you just say that one more time, please?
Sure. Let me repeat myself.
Yes.
I want to be really clear that this position does not require a college degree or any experience at a law firm.
Yeah, great. Okay, and what else are you thinking about for the organization, for the job?
Yeah. So,
Strong fit.
Yeah. So we're the job, the legal assistant position involves a lot of coordination between team members, and this person's also going to be providing support to a really large number of clients. That being said, we're looking for someone who has experience multitasking, staying organized, completing tasks with a really strong attention to like the little details. And there's no one type of experience where you could have developed these skills. For example, I know people who have worked in customer service that have these skills, teaching, facilitating programs, any kind of administrative work. And in terms of personal experience, our work involves building trust with clients who are incarcerated. So we're looking for someone who can maintain credibility and deliver feedback in a really thoughtful, trauma-informed way, like Maddie said. And these skills can come from diverse personal and professional experiences as well. And I want to be sure to recognize the special expertise that people with lived experience in the criminal justice system could bring to this role, as well as people who have been impacted by the criminal legal system more generally.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Emma, for that. And Charlie, let me ask you a question. Who will this person be working with closely?
Yeah, thanks, Peggy. So they'll be working with our participants that are on the inside. I would like to kind of, if I can really quick, kind of give a more of an overview of Home After Harm. Sure. So what Home After Harm really is it's a program that's been developed, as Keith mentioned, by people with lived experience. So people who have been inside of institutions, who are on this healing journey and ultimately have to face the prison board and be able to express their insight into who they are and how they ended up in the place that they were at and how they got to where they are now. And so we've developed this curriculum in order to deliver it to the people inside, to the incarcerated people inside, to help guide and support that journey and be able to give it from this perspective of having lived it, and ultimately provide that healing, so that internal freedom, but also on the back end, be able to express themselves in such a way that they can also earn their physical freedom. And in that process, we hope to create a culture through developing mentors on the inside who will be able to help us change the culture on the inside to create an environment that is supportive of this type of individual work on the inside. And ultimately, that is our goal, to be able to do that. And so with that said, the person who will ultimately be in this legal position will be working with Emma, myself, and Israel Garcia, who wasn't able to be here tonight with us, but who is a fantastic and supportive leader. And then ultimately, the larger pilot team that is supporting this program. And so while we'll be going into the institution, this particular position won't necessarily be going into the institution all the time. They will be periodically asked to go in and meet the participants and create that connection and credibility with them. But ultimately, we'll be working with the entire pilot team through meetings and supporting the work that we're all doing.
Right on. Thank you, Charlie, so much. Just before we move on, because this is one of two great positions that we're looking for great leadership in. I just want to know if there's anything else in this space that you think we might have forgot to mention, just to give you a space. Emma, Maddie, Charlie, anything else before we move to the next one? All right, you guys covered it all. Look,
thanks, Peggy. You really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all so very much. Look, and just keep in mind, everybody, that this is an opportunity. If you have any questions, go ahead and start putting it in the chat. Every question is very important and of value, and we want to hear from you. And we'll make sure we answer all of your questions, and we're going to leave the last 15 minutes to answer any questions that you might have. Like, it's really about the qualities that you're bringing to the table and for each of these jobs. So, Keith, here we go. We've just talked about the legal assistant role, and now, you're stepping into a role called a chief of people. So talk to me a little bit about the responsibilities of this role, and just then we'll talk a little bit more. I have a couple more questions, like how did we get here? So give me a little description about Chief of People role.
Okay, well, as I explained, our team has grown quite a bit, fairly quickly, and the expansion of the team has revealed the need to be really intentional about creating the kind of organizational culture that truly supports everyone on the team. And so we want to, because Maddie mentioned that uncommon law several times. We all have, but there are a lot of reasons we call ourselves uncommon law. And in this context, we really want to challenge some of the traditional notions and models for compensation, for promotional pathways, and for self-care and sustainability. It's hard to do this work. And we want to make sure we're supporting the folks who want to do it and want to spend their time, dedicate their lives to doing this. So the goal of this particular position is to for us to be able to address the ways in which dynamics of race and gender and wealth differences and formerly incarcerated or impacted status can produce some of the same disparities we see everywhere else in our society. And the director of people and culture will be tasked with helping us create something different for our folks. The ideal candidate will be able to do all of that. The person in this position is going to report to me directly and be a part of our management team. The slide that's here gives a sense of what that ideal candidate might look like. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have or any of the folks observing have tonight. I'm really excited to explore this position because it's something brand new for us, but we think that we can create a model for folks coming home from incarceration in particular and making their way into the workforce.
Right. Look, I think this is a very exciting role, and I really applaud you for making a decision and seeing the importance for the whole team. I have to step back a little bit because what is uncommon law? Where did the name come from?
Well, it's a much longer story than we have time for.
Okay, right.
I'll tell you that. But there are a lot of reasons we call ourselves uncommon law. Actually, it seems like every week or month we're discovering new ways that this makes sense for us. But the way I'll simplify it here is that I just recognize that the traditional way of practicing law doesn't actually serve most people very well.
Yeah,
it's often not satisfying to practitioners. Traditional litigation rarely results in outcomes that people are really happy with. We settle for a lot of things. And sometimes that looks like settling for a way of practicing law just because that's how it's always been. So we believe something else is possible. We started it without any sense of what that might look like, and we're still creating it. I mean, it's an exciting, evolving process that, as I said, we continue to redefine what uncommon law means all the time. This is a perfect example of this particular position.
Yeah, exactly. As we're going to say, it's like that's why Director of People and Culture is speaks to the uncommon law values and the work that you're doing. So let me ask you a question, though, Keith. How does the Director of People and Culture different from your traditional HR role?
Well, I think about a traditional HR role as being more about sort of a compliance-driven role, like obviously limited by whatever employment laws say we should do, but it means like how do we protect the rights of our staff? Whereas this director role is more about like who do we need to be as an organization in order to operate in a manner that's consistent with our values, and that's a fundamentally different question, and it's one that a lot of people haven't spent a lot of time thinking about, but that's what we want to be about.
Yeah, I love that. Who do we need to be? That is so valuable and uncommon as well. So tell me, why are you choosing right now to hire for this particular role at this time?
Well, some of the things I touched on already, the rapid growth, these new positions, new relationships between the positions, and really a clear need to rewrite some of the rules for what's possible and what's equitable, particularly for folks coming into the workforce after decades in prison. Like we can't pull from the shelf some model or some market, profile for those lived experiences when they show up in this workforce. And so we said, well, let's just create it. And we get there's nothing that exists, but we want to make sure that we provide the kind of support our folks really need, even if there's not a model for it. We'll just create one.
Right. I love that. I love that. So, and I just once again just applaud you for just the intention here of creating this space for this new position of director of people and culture. We've I don't know if there's anything else that you want to speak to that, but I definitely want to invite the rest of the team back to the stage. And that way we can make ourselves open and available for any questions that the audience might have, at this time.
The only other thing I'll add, Becky, is just that in all I've said or all any of us have said, I don't want to project the image that we got this figured out. We're looking for a partner to help us figure this out.
Yeah.
We're all learning and building something that we don't think has existed before. That's the way to do it. So
right,
thanks.
which is huge. So that right person, that just is willing to dig in with you, right?
Yes,
and willing to really figure it out, because it's not an easy answer. It's not just something that's on a really quick job description. It definitely requires a lot of hard work in doing this work, and also just lifting up the values of uncommon law already. Yeah. And so I hear you saying that you're looking for somebody who's willing to come and play full out with you. And help to hold that space because of the work that you're doing is so huge in the world. So I just want to thank you for that already. I want to see, do we have any questions out there? Let me see. Anybody have a question? Okay. And I'm just open up to everybody. So anybody can choose to step up and answer any of these questions here that we have for a legal assistant position. From home after harm program, how closely does the person work with the clients in the program, or is it mostly working with the lawyers? Who want to take that one?
I can take this one.
Okay, sure.
So this position will definitely have a lot of client contact. A lot of the contact that this position is going to have with clients is going to be through writing. And then we'll also attend maybe some legal visits with me, the attorney. So I promise that it won't be like all just working with me, just working with Maddie and another attorney. It will have client contact, but there will be like a lot of days that you would be in an office, wouldn't necessarily have like a phone call or legal visit scheduled. So I don't know how to like break it down. I wish I could give you like a percentage of the days you would have client contact, but our work just doesn't work like that. We have like every day looks a little different. So if you have any like follow-up questions about that, happy to answer them.
Yes. Thank you, Blanca. And Angela, will you have a position opening in LA anytime soon? And I guess this is either positions, I don't know if it's legal assistant or anything that you see on the horizons as a fast-growing organization.
I'll answer it this way. Probably, 18 months ago, I would say we have no plans of having any positions in LA. And now we do have several folks located down there. And the one of the prisons at which we're running Home After Harm is in Los Angeles County. And we do expect that in the future, these programs will expand and spread to other institutions. So I wouldn't say soon, but in the future, I'd say it's likely.
Okay. Thank you, Angela, for that question. Yeah. So you're growing across the state. So Ryan has a question. I'm working with a client who is currently in prison. Would it be okay to put him down as a reference?
I'm going to say absolutely. I don't know what anybody else wants to say, but absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, Blanca, again, is so that's absolutely, put him down as a reference. Okay, that'd be awesome. And Blanca, how many prisons does Home After Harm program work at? How many locations are you in?
We're at 2 prisons right now.
Okay. Thank you. And Chris, just curious about the hiring process for the legal assistant role.
I can jump in. We'll be going through initial applications. Just to highlight again, we give a strong preference to people who tailor their cover letters to UnCommon law. And then from there, we'll be offering interviews, and there will likely be 2 rounds of interviews and potentially a writing assignment as well.
Thank you. Candace, regarding the home after harm legal assistant position, what is the long-term outlook for working remotely as we return to normal? Normal, I just don't know what that is these days, but I think we're trying to figure that out.
I can jump in and share a little bit. Well, we're currently developing our policy of not only returning back into office, but also returning back into prison. So it's currently in the works. I'm not sure exactly if a hard deadline, but as policies within the state are updated, we are constantly reviewing to see how that will look and how that would affect our returning back into prisons and returning back into the office as well.
Thank you. Kelsey, for the Director of People and Culture role, what type of experience would the ideal candidate have? Management experience, higher education, and what does that look like?
I can talk a little bit about that. We really want someone who has some experience. Yes, as a manager, ideally even as a sort of a designer, but who has experience leading in really diverse settings, diverse teams, with people working in different disciplines who need to learn to work together, because that's sort of one of the biggest pieces. As I said, we have a lot of new people who need to learn each other, need to learn their own roles and how they fit together. And anyone who has experience doing that could be really helpful to this effort. We also really do. We value people who are, not just independent thinkers, but like creative, can come up with new stuff. Everything that we're doing and we're talking about tonight, we just made it up at some point, and we're trying to figure out how to get it right. So people who have experience creating new models for working on teams or within teams, that would be a great benefit for us to see.
Okay. Hey, Vinny. Hi, everyone. That's my daughter's dog. Okay, is that what that is, Vinny? Is that what? I'm still on parole. Does this disqualify me?
So I think I'm gonna jump in and take a shot at that. I would say absolutely not. I think that's what this organization is about. Is about incorporating people with lived experience into this journey, and being able to provide your insight and knowledge into helping other people succeed on their own journeys.
And we're actually headed tomorrow back into a prison for the first time since last March. And one of the folks on this team is currently on parole.
Yeah. Thank you. And Shannon's question is, does the legal assistant position work with the policy team at all?
Not this position.
Okay.
We do have a separate policy arm that may have its own sort of legal components, but not this position.
Okay. Paulina, is a legal assistant role full-time? If so, what might the schedule look like?
I can start, and then Maddie, feel free to sort of jump in. So the legal assistant role is full-time, and we normally work 9 to 5-ish. I think we're really looking for someone who, has the capacity to be working those hours. We can always talk about like some flexibility, but I think we're really looking for someone who can work the hours that our office is open, and that we can communicate with our clients during program hours. Maddie, do you have any additions to that?
Yeah, definitely being available general work hours, although we do, we are able to be flexible throughout weeks, and people can flex time. And there are also times where the workload might ramp up, like at the beginning of the program where we're working, more than 9 to 5, and then kind of recovering, taking a couple of days off in between, going back to things mellowing out again.
Is there a lot of weekend work?
For the legal assistant position, no.
Okay, so working 9 to 5.
Working 9 to 5. And I think it's encouraged to take the weekends off. I mean, this is heavy lifting work, as was mentioned earlier. And for sustainability, it's certainly important to do some self-care here as well.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, because it is so important and a key value for the organization itself, because it is big work, right? And we need everybody to be healthy. Okay, Carson, will the legal assistant role collaborate with other team members of UnCommon Law, laws that are not a part of the home after harm pilot team? If so, what would that look like?
Probably not a whole lot. We're hoping to get this program off the ground very soon, and it will certainly be taking hopefully all of the legal assistance time.
Right.
We're hoping to not have too much time for people to be jumping in on other projects. That's not to say that opportunities might not pop up, but for the most part, we're hoping that this role can largely be focused on the home after harm program.
Okay, all right.
And if I could add something too, UnCommon Law, like we all have, we have a weekly staff meeting. We have opportunities to sort of cross mingle, even if you wouldn't be working with people from other teams on a daily basis. There's definitely opportunities to get to know other staff members and sort of give your input on more organizational wide policies and visioning exercises. So it's definitely not that you would only be seeing the pilot team, but your day-to-day work would be mostly with the pilot team folks.
Awesome. Thank you. I think Corey, she's really grateful that we're hosting this webinar. We wanted to create ways in which we can actually reach as many people as possible, answer any questions that we might have. And so her question is, can you share your top qualities that you're looking for, again, around with the Director of People and Culture, especially if you don't have a lived experience of incarceration?
I think the key is to understand that this role is about supporting everyone who wants to show up and do this work, and with special attention to supporting people who have experience in being incarcerated or otherwise impacted by this criminal legal system. And so bring empathy with you if you're going to apply to this job. And even if you don't have lived experience, show that you not only care but are willing to spend the time understanding, lifting up these voices, the experiences of folks inside, and recognize that whatever we create as an organization has an impact, and in some ways has a unique and profound impact on people who have trauma histories. And that's a lot of, that's true for a lot of staff members in general, but particularly among people who are incarcerated, those trauma histories exist. They're profound. And especially in this particular work, they come up a lot. And we want to make sure in this role, this Director of People and Culture is responsive to that, and whatever we come up with as a design for our organizational culture.
Thank you. Okay, Kimberly's in Sacramento. but is more willing to relocate. Will you consider me if I apply? And I'm assuming she's going to apply. Kimmy's going to apply for both positions.
Well, I think the answer is probably the same. They're both located in our Oakland office, and so if you're living somewhere else and you're coming this way, by all means, apply.
Absolutely.
We don't care where you live now.
Exactly. Can you get to the Oakland office? And as you're doing this work, it might be a great position, something you're interested in applying for. You might also know some other folks that you think they might be interested in applying for either one of these jobs. So, we definitely want to encourage you to help spread the good news of opportunities that are being made available right now. So just want to put that out there as well. Any other questions? Hey, Shannon.
I wanted to jump in because it was brought to our attention that maybe we didn't completely answer one of the legal assistant questions about what the day-to-day work will look like. Mm-hmm. And so what it typically will look like, especially once the program gets going, is filing and gathering client assignments that come in, or participant assignments in the program, reviewing those assignments, and then providing feedback via letter, largely. And so writing out those letters, drafting the feedback, and then having an attorney review them, sending them off. So I would say that'll be one of the biggest parts, is really understanding with training and time how the board works and thinks, and then helping to apply that to client assignments and explain to clients why something in their assignment might be changed to better suit what the board is looking for. So that's kind of what the day-to-day will look like.
Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah. And Shannon's next question is, what dates are you expecting to fill both of these positions?
The short answer is as soon as we find the two best candidates. We're really committed to finding the right people for our team, and sometimes that takes longer. Our goal is within the next few weeks, but Maddie described some of the interviewing process. It takes a little while, at least the next couple of weeks, I would say.
Yeah. So we got applications due on June the 7th for the LA position, and for the legal assistant position, and June the 11th for the people of culture. Yes. So it gives you a couple of dates that we have out there, but at the end of the day, just like he said, it's like really getting the right person to be a part of this family and community. Okay. So how closely does a legal assistant work with the prison officers, like
litigation coordinator?
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
How is that for this particular role? What I keep hearing from people, they want to partner with everybody on the whole team. It's like, wait, you're like, well, hold up. Let's get this one job done first, and then we can actually figure out the partnership. Does somebody want to speak to that a little bit?
I can speak to sort of the first part of the question, and then maybe I'll hand it over to Charlie to talk about like maybe navigating that experience, but the legal assistant is going to be responsible for helping schedule legal visits with our clients. So that will be some coordination with litigation coordinators to set up those visits, make sure we have all the documents in place so that we get to see and talk to our clients. So that is like sort of the nitty gritty of that question. And I'm wondering if maybe the person had, was more curious also just about like how it feels to navigate like those inside outside experiences. And maybe I'll toss it over to Charlie if you have anything to add.
I really don't have too much to add with that. I haven't worked too much with the litigation coordinators, so I can't really speak to that experience too much of working with the prison officials on that side of it.
Okay, hey, Wade. Is there a possibility of chief of people to be a remote hybrid? Is that meaning like halfway in Oakland, halfway in Chicago? I mean, like work with me a little bit here. What are you looking for, Keith, for that role in terms of a location?
Well, we expect to all be back in an office here in Oakland fairly soon. The best I could say is within the next couple of months, we endeavor to get back. And when we're there, we want as many of us to be in one place as we can make it happen. And we think this role is really central to bringing everyone together and creating that space for us to thrive. And so we would want someone we would expect this person to be in the office.
Thank you for that question.
In the meantime, we're all still remote, but
yeah,
for that to change.
Dominique, I have two questions actually. Since the program and these positions are new, will you be hiring multiple people for both roles? Am I able to apply for both?
I would encourage to apply to both positions. However, we are filling one person per role, but definitely apply to both positions if you feel that. If you're inclined to apply for them, I definitely encourage for you to apply to both.
Yes, thank you. Gerardo, what are the career perspectives, learning, training, development, and opportunities?
Yeah, it's the perfect question that we actually look forward to the director of people and culture to help us develop some real answers for, because we recognize that people come to us with all kinds of different backgrounds and skill levels. I mean, just the technology gap for someone who has spent their formative years plus 20 more in prison, it presents some unique challenges. But we all have an opportunity to learn more about each other, about the work, about the folks we serve. And one of the key, objectives of this role is to create pathways to promotion for everyone on the team. So that looks like developing kind of unique, customized, personal sort of professional training opportunities, skills development, and helping people map out where they want to get to within the organization. And sometimes that may mean they graduate from us and move on potentially. But we just want to support folks in whatever that looks like. But we really are going to rely on this director of people and culture to help formalize that structure within the organization.
Thank you. And we're going to take just one more question as we're getting close to the end of this Q&A. Let's see, Paulina, would you hire someone who is currently in school if they were able to balance that full-time schedule?
So I'll jump in here. Keith, do you want to shoot at that, or?
I'll weigh in briefly, but go ahead, Charlie.
Okay, yeah, I think so. We do have some people on staff who are in school part-time, but we do want somebody that can balance both. This is a heavy load, and we're dealing with very trauma-informed stuff. This is a heavy work environment here, and it takes a lot to put in this type of work. And so we're looking for somebody that can definitely give us the full amount of themselves to this work, since we're dealing with people's lives here, and it's a heavy load. Yeah. Keith, did you want to add in on that?
No, that's pretty good. I know we have at least one person here who just finished his first year in college, managed it very well. I will say congratulations, David. But it's as Charlie said, it's a tough role. It's tough to balance, especially early on in your college career. It's a lot, and we really, again, coming back to this director of people and culture's role, we really want to make sure that we have a sustainable work environment, and we don't want to bring people on with way too much of a load for them to balance in a healthy way.
Well, I just want to say thank you for creating a space on this webinar to be able to answer any questions. Thank you all out there who've been submitting questions. It's been robust. It's been exciting. It's been, just full. Keith, Maddie, David, Charlie, Emma, thank you for the work that you are doing. I'm feeling excited about us finding those two dynamic individuals. And for those of you out there, if this is for you, please apply. Keep in mind that the legal assistant role, we have a deadline of June the 7th, and the director of chief of people is for June the 11th. But we're going to get the right person. So definitely fill out the application, go online, check out our team, join our team, and just come and play full out. If this is something that you might know of someone who you think they might be fit for either of these roles, please encourage them to fill out the application. Keep in mind, this is uncommon law, and this is a new position with the director of chief of people, director of people and culture to hold the space. And the legal assistant, there's a lot of work to be done. So thank you all. I appreciate you all for joining us today, and thank you, team, for all of your leadership.
Thanks, Peggy.
Thank you, Peggy.
Thank you.
Thank
Right
you.
on.